Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're taking a look at the Gwangju Uprising.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah, with Won Seok-young's book, Gwangju Uprising, The Rebellion for Democracy in South Korea.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's really an in-depth look at a pivotal moment in South Korea's history. And honestly, the parallels to events happening today are pretty striking.
Yeah, it's really amazing how Hwang Seok-young captures the rawness and complexity of the whole situation. He doesn't shy away from the brutality, but also showcases this amazing resilience and courage, of these ordinary people standing up against this really oppressive regime. It's a story that just sticks with you, even decades later.
Absolutely. So, to set the stage, the book opens in 1979.
Okay.
South Korea is under the rule of President Park Chung-hee, authoritarian rule, 18 years, and then suddenly he's assassinated.
Wow.
You could almost feel this collective sigh of relief across the nation. Like this hope that watches over the country. Even the international press at the time was reporting on this newfound optimism.
There were real hopes. Expectations of a new constitution, free elections, a true republic forming.
A real chance at democracy.
But this period of hope didn't last long.
No.
A military junta, the Singunbu, quickly took control.
Right. And they weren't really interested in democracy, were they?
Not at all, no.
They quickly moved to consolidate power. They staged a massive military exercise. But these weren't just any troops.
Right.
These were specialized units called loyalty units.
Okay.
Trained specifically for riot suppression. And basically crushing any sign of rebellion.
That's intense. It's like they were preparing for what was about to happen.
Right. Chilling message to send.
Absolutely chilling. And the book really dives into how the Singunbu used propaganda and media manipulation to control the narrative, basically silencing anyone who spoke out against them. Real masters at creating this climate of fear.
So you have this backdrop of tension, this military junta flexing its muscles, and we come to Gwangju.
Gwangju,
And Gwangju wasn't just any city.
No, not at all.
It was this hub of activism and intellectual thought. A real contrast to the authoritarian grip tightening across South Korea.
Right.
Think about places like the Nakdu Bookstore.
Okay.
And the Modern Cultural Research Center.
These were places where students and intellectuals could gather, discuss, and really promote these democratic ideals.
And it wasn't just students either, right? The book mentions progressive religious groups. Student councils, even theater companies.
Interesting.
All these diverse groups, all pushing for change.
Sounds like Gwangju was a real thorn in the side of the Singunbu.
I think so, yeah. And it gets even more interesting when students and faculty who had been expelled for their activism were allowed back into Cheonam National University in Gwangju.
So it's like bringing back this energy and experience.
That reignited the movement, And then May 17, 1980, things escalate pretty dramatically.
What happened?
Chun Doo-won, the leader of the Singunbu, he declares this nationwide expansion of martial law.
Oh, wow.
Their justification. Well, a threat of a North Korean invasion.
Oh, so classic.
Pretty convenient, right?
Right. It's like the oldest trick in the book.
Fabricate a threat to justify a crackdown.
And, of course, their prime target was Gwangju.
Of course. With its history of dissent and its association with prominent dissident Kim Dae-jung.
Right. They must have seen Gwangju as this potential spark that could ignite a nationwide uprising.
So they decide to go in, heavy-handed, right? Preventative custody sweeps.
Oh my gosh.
Rounding up student activists and the 505th Security Unit.
Their methods were brutal.
Straight out of a dictator's playbook.
And so...
not exactly. It had the opposite effect.
Really?
By attacking Gwangju, the Singunbu actually unintentionally united the city against them.
Wow. So their actions backfired.
So it's May 18th. Student demonstrations erupt at Cheonam University.
Okay.
This time the paratroopers are sent in. And Hwang Seok-young, he doesn't hold back in describing the brutality of their response.
It's harrowing.
It is. Unarmed civilians met with batons, bayonets, even gunfire.
Oh my gosh.
He brings to life these specific instances of violence. The attack on the Catholic Center.
Oh, wow.
The tragic death of high school student Kim Young-chan.
These stories, they're hard to read.
Yeah.
But they're so important. They remind us of the human cost of fighting for freedom.
Absolutely. And it was at this point that the spark turned into a wildfire.
So the paratroopers' brutality, it backfired.
Yeah. Instead of crushing the spirit of Gwangju, it galvanized them.
So the citizens, outraged by what they saw, rose up in resistance.
They did. You see, ordinary citizens, shopkeepers, teachers, mothers.
Wow.
Everyone.
Everyone coming together.
They're coming together to defend their city.
Amazing.
They raided police stations and armories.
Wow.
For weapons, anything they could get their hands on.
So they went from peaceful protests to armed resistance almost overnight.
That's right. And what's really amazing is how quickly they organized.
Yeah. I mean, how do you even do that?
The book talks about how they formed militias, established communication networks.
Right.
They basically created their own defense force.
They were incredibly resourceful.
Yeah. I mean, this is 1980. No internet, no smartphones.
Right.
They relied on word of mouth, leaflets,
yeah,
even commandeered radio stations to spread information and rally support.
Wow.
It's a real testament to their ingenuity and determination.
It is. And I mean, the Singumbu, they weren't just going to sit back and watch this happen.
No. They did what a lot of authoritarian regimes do. They imposed a media blackout.
So, cut off communication.
Yeah. Isolate Gwangju.
Yeah. Control the narrative.
Control the narrative. Prevent any news of the uprising from reaching the outside world.
A tactic that, unfortunately, we still see today.
Yeah. But the citizens of Gwangju, they weren't going down without a fight.
Right.
The book mentions attempts to break through the blackout. They even tried to reach the U.S. ambassador.
Real.
Desperate plea for help.
Wow.
They knew if the world found out what was happening, if they could expose the Singumbu's brutality, they might have a chance.
Yeah. But that media blackout was incredibly effective.
It was.
The world was largely in the dark about what was really happening in Gwangju.
So inside Gwangju, things are escalating. We see the formation of the uprising leadership team.
So who are they?
Just everyday citizens, really suddenly thrust into these leadership roles. Trying to negotiate with the martial law authorities.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Well, that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive.
Oh, okay.
We'll delve into those final days of the Gwangju Uprising, the tragic fall of the city, and the long road to truth and justice that followed. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Gwangju Uprising.
Yeah.
We left off with the citizens of Gwangju holding their own.
Yeah.
But things were getting desperate.
Yeah, you can really feel that weight of responsibility of the uprising leadership team. I mean, these were ordinary people thrust into these extraordinary circumstances. They had to think about the safety of the people they were leading.
Yeah.
But they also had this unwavering desire for justice, for accountability, for all the atrocities they'd witnessed.
And the book describes their attempts to negotiate with the martial law authorities.
Right, right.
But it seems like the Singumbu had already made up their minds.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Their demands were non-negotiable. Unconditional surrender. Return of all firearms.
Wow. Just imagine being on the receiving end of that ultimatum.
I know.
You've seen your friends and neighbors gunned down.
Yeah.
You've experienced this taste of freedom, and now they're telling you to just lay down your arms with no guarantees of safety or justice.
It's no wonder that many felt they had no choice but to keep fighting.
Well, I can understand that.
And this is where that whole media blackout thing becomes even more crucial.
It just completely isolates them.
It does. The Singumbu's control of information.
Yeah.
It meant that the people of Gwangju were basically alone.
Totally.
Their cries for help muffled by this wall of silence.
And that's classic authoritarian playbook, right?
It is.
Control the narrative, control the truth.
And imagine the desperation.
Oh, I know. I mean, they're fighting for their lives, for their city, for democracy itself.
Yeah.
But their story's being systematically erased.
The book does mention attempts by citizens to break through that information blockade.
Oh, really? Like how?
Trying to contact the U.S. ambassador, hoping for some kind of intervention.
It's like a desperate plea for help.
But with very little information getting out.
Right.
The international response was
it was
pretty muted.
It makes you think about the responsibility of the international community in these kinds of situations,
Yeah.
What obligation do we have to intervene when a government turns against its own people?
Tough question.
Yeah, and Gwangju it's a stark reminder of the cost of inaction.
But even with the odds stacked against them, with their story being silenced, the citizens of Gwangju weren't giving up.
They were determined.
Yeah. The book describes their efforts to organize, to prepare for that inevitable assault.
Wow.
They were determined to make the Singunbu pay for every inch of their city.
It's just incredible, their resourcefulness.
They formed militias, pooled their resources, set up makeshift hospitals.
Oh, wow.
They even started printing their own newspapers.
Really?
Yeah.
To counter the propaganda?
Yeah. Like they were...
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like a microcosm of a functioning society.
Yeah, in the middle of all this chaos.
A real testament to the human spirit.
And then, May 27th, the storm breaks.
Oh.
Martial law troops, backed by tanks and overwhelming firepower, launched their final assault on Gwangju.
On the whole city.
Their target. Province Hall.
Ah.
The symbolic heart of the uprising.
Oh, wow.
And Hwang Sok-young doesn't hold back in describing this final confrontation.
I mean, it must have been just chaotic.
Chaotic, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
As these outnumbered and outgunned citizens make their last stand.
And he really captures that, right? The terror, the desperation, the loss of life.
It's a powerful reminder of the courage it takes to stand up for what you believe in.
Yeah, even when facing those impossible odds.
And the tragedy doesn't end there.
Right.
In the aftermath of the uprising, the Singunbu go to great lengths to cover up the massacre.
To manipulate the narrative.
Manipulate the narrative, silence those who witnessed the horror.
Like a second wave of violence almost.
It is, yeah.
Aimed at erasing what happened.
Yeah. They manipulated casualty figures.
Wow.
Intimidated witnesses. Did everything they could to portray the uprising as some riot.
Oh, yeah.
Instigated by communist sympathizers.
Yeah, it's a classic tactic,
It is.
Demonize the victims, twist the facts,
Yeah.
bury the truth under this mountain of lies and propaganda.
It's a chilling reminder of how these authoritarian regimes use information control to maintain their grip on power.
Yeah. And for years, the truth about Gwangju stayed hidden. This dark secret that they tried so hard to bury.
But the book highlights the courage of those who refuse to let the truth die.
Those who fought to keep the memory alive.
Yeah. Victims' families, activists, writers.
Putting their own safety at risk.
Yeah.
To expose the truth.
Yeah.
To demand justice. It's both inspiring and heartbreaking.
It is. It's a long and arduous struggle.
Yeah.
But they never gave up. And eventually, the truth started to come out.
Yeah, it's a testament to the power of persistence.
It is. It took decades.
Wow.
But Gwangju's story was finally told. The victims were honored.
Yeah.
And those responsible were held accountable.
The book serves as this reminder that the fight for justice often takes time, persistence, courage.
And it underscores the importance of historical memory.
Yeah.
The need to confront these uncomfortable truths.
Absolutely. No matter how difficult.
No matter how difficult
they are.
So we've witnessed the buildup to the uprising.
Right.
The brutality of the crackdown.
Yeah.
The long fight for truth and justice.
But what does it mean for us today?
Why should we care about something that happened decades ago?
Yeah, on the other side of the world.
That's where the book's true power lies.
Yeah.
It transcends time and place. Those themes, the fight against authoritarianism, the importance of truth and memory, the courage to resist oppression.
These are all
incredibly relevant.
Yeah. We see echoes of Gwangju in the struggles for democracy and human rights.
Happening all over the world.
All over the world. It's a reminder that that fight for freedom is never truly over.
It's a constant battle.
A battle each generation has to fight.
In its own way.
In its own way. And the Gwangju Uprising, though tragically crushed, it ultimately played a pivotal role in South Korea's transition to democracy.
Right, and it shows us the human capacity for resilience, for courage, and for hope.
And those are lessons we can all learn from. Absolutely.
No matter where we live or what struggles we face. And we're back for our final look at the Gwangju Uprising. You know, this book, it's been quite a journey.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a real eye-opener.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up, I want to kind of shift gears a bit and look at some of those broader themes that Hwang Sok-young explores.
Right, right.
I mean, this isn't just like a history book, right?
Not at all.
It's a reflection on the human spirit, you know?
Absolutely. He doesn't just present these themes as these abstract ideas, you know? He leaves them into the narrative itself, so they become these visceral lived experiences, you know?
Right, right.
You feel the collective power, the desperation of that media blackout, the fight for truth. It's all there, you know?
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
And one of the most powerful themes for me is this idea of collective action.
Yeah. You see how the brutality of the crackdown, this shared grief and outrage, this deep desire for a democratic future, it all brought the people of Gwangju together in this incredible display of solidarity.
It really is. It's a testament to the human capacity for resilience.
Think about it.
Yeah.
These were ordinary citizens.
Right.
Students, workers, shopkeepers, mothers, united against this powerful military machine.
And it wasn't just about taking up arms.
No, not at all.
No, they set up hospitals, organized food supplies. They even created their own communication networks. They
basically created a self-governing society.
In the middle of this
in the middle.
Chaos. Like they formed.
It's like a mini democracy. Right there in the face of authoritarianism.
I know. And speaking of authoritarianism, another theme that really resonated with me was this importance of truth and memory.
How the Singunbu went to such great lengths.
They did.
To distort the narrative, silence witnesses, and erase the memory of Gwangju.
And that's where the book itself becomes this act of defiance.
It does.
By telling the story, Hwang Sok-young ensures that that memory lives on, you know?
Gives a voice to those who were silenced.
It does.
And it challenges that official narrative.
Right, that the Singunbu tried to construct.
It wasn't an easy fight, though.
It wasn't, no.
You know? The book talks about the tireless efforts of victims' families, activists, writers, risking their own safety to uncover the truth, demand justice, and make sure that Gwangju wasn't forgotten.
It's a reminder that preserving history is an ongoing struggle.
It is. It's a responsibility that falls on every generation to be vigilant, to question the information we're given, to challenge attempts to rewrite or erase history.
For political gain.
Exactly.
Yeah. Think about how relevant that is today.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the rise of misinformation, the ways in which certain groups try to control the narrative.
It's chilling,
It is. And
it brings us to another major theme. Authoritarianism. And its methods of control. We see how the Singunbu used fear, propaganda, violence, and especially that media blackout to silence dissent and maintain their grip on power.
It's a blueprint that we see.
Sadly repeated around the world.
The book is a cautionary tale in that sense. You know, it reminds us to be critical thinkers, to question the information we're fed, and to be wary of
those who try to silence opposing voices.
I mean, we have to remember that freedom of the press, freedom of speech, these aren't just abstract ideals, you know. They're crucial.
They're essential in the fight against tyranny.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some
what are some
key takeaways for our listeners? What can we learn from the Gwangju Uprising?
Oh, even decades later.
Decades later,
I think the Gwangju Uprising, although it was a tragedy, it offers these powerful lessons.
It does.
About courage, resilience, and the importance of fighting for what you believe in. It shows us that even when facing incredible odds, ordinary people can make a difference.
It's a call to action, isn't it?
It is. It challenges us to ask, what are we doing? To stand up for democratic values, Are we staying informed?
Yeah.
Are we speaking out against injustice? Are we supporting those who are fighting for freedom?
I mean, these are questions we should all be asking ourselves.
And for those who want to dive deeper into this incredible story, I highly recommend checking out Gwangju Uprising, The Rebellion for Democracy in South Korea by Hwang Sok-young.
By Hwang Sok-young. You can find a link to that book in the show notes below.
And for more insightful content on history, literature, and current events, make sure to subscribe to the One Book a Day YouTube channel.
We'll leave a link to that in the show notes as well.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Gwangju Uprising.
It's a story that deserves to be told.
Yeah. And its lessons continue to resonate today, reminding us that the fight
for freedom and democracy is a fight worth having.
It is. Absolutely. And remember, even though this deep dive is ending, the conversation doesn't have to.
Keep exploring. Keep questioning.
Keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.